the 2024 California elections, what are we watching? We're watching what is on the ballot, but I think it's also important to point out what's not on the ballot. And talk a little bit more about that. That's, in our view, that's almost just as important as what is on the ballot. But we're not going over every proposition on the California ballot. If you're California citizens, those of you watching, we know how broken our system is. Like, why are voters voting on these complex, nuanced tax issues? That should be the job of the legislature. But hey, it's California. We're special. We vote on everything. So let's go through one proposition we are keeping a close eye on. This doesn't directly relate to estate planning, but we think it can have huge implications for the value of family assets. So Prop 33 is called the Justice for Renters Act, and it is basically, in plain English, would give cities the ability to expand rent control. So current law in California is governed by the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act of 1995. And what Costa-Hawkins did is it eliminated the ability of local California cities to impose rent control on single-family homes, on condos, and on apartment buildings built in 1995 or later. I'm not sure the exact date. And the idea is you should be able to rent your home out and not worry about not increasing rents. It shouldn't be too hard to move back in if you want to. And they wanted to encourage new housing to be built in California because developers don't typically want to build a very expensive housing project if they are worried that rent control could be imposed, making it not feasible. So this would eliminate those protections, and it would allow cities, not all, but it'd be up to the cities, to impose rent control on single family homes. And I think this is actually kind of timely. I put an image of an article in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. So Argentina had a broken housing system. They got rid of rent controls, and all of a sudden the supply expanded dramatically. So, I think if you talk to any economist, they would say rent control, it helps a small group of people. It hurts many more. Don't mean to get too much into the politics, but just from an economic standpoint, I've never really understood how this is supposed to help the general community. But hey, it is what it is. And there have been attempts, or like 2 attempts in the last few years, to eliminate rent control. They have both failed. So who knows? I don't think this is likely to pass, but it could. So just be aware, Prop 33, if it passes and you ever want to rent your home out, depending on where you are, they might impose rent control. San Francisco, of course, has already announced, a lot of the political leaders there have said, we're immediately going to impose rent control on single family homes if this passes. And there could even be vacancy controls where if you have a tenant move out, you might not even be able to increase rents then. So you might be locked at very low rents for decades if you want to rent a house out. But here's the problem. We also have another law called Prop 19 in California that we're really worried about. So assume this passes and you can only increase rents if you want to rent out your condo or your single family home by 2 or 3% per year. Let's say it goes to your kids and they want to rent it out. They can't, maybe they won't be able to increase rents. But what's not on the ballot? Prop 19 will not be overturned in the next couple of years because there is no repeal of Prop 19 on the ballot. There's been attempts for the last 2 elections. They come out well short. But what does this mean? We have a lot of videos about this. If you watch our YouTube channel, you've seen it. If you come to talk to us, we talk about this all the time. But Prop 19 dramatically limits the ability to pass real estate from one generation to the next without a massive increase in property taxes. Mike, can you give us a quick summary of what that means?
Sure. There's 2 aspects. There's the treatment of the family home, the residence, and then all other real property. So what Prop 19 does is it pretty much eliminates the legacy of Prop 13, hallowed Prop 13, that most people in California, the more they know about it, the more they love it because it protects property taxes at a very low level. Well, that's been wiped out for inherited assets. So let's assume first that you own a second home, a rental, a vacation home, a business property, whatever it may be. If that property is passed along to your kids and you want them to retain ownership, it is unavoidable, there will be a reassessment to reflect the market value on the date of death.
I have to push back. It is not unavoidable. If you work with us, it's avoidable, but sorry.
Well, I think I was going to make that point in just a moment. Who knows? Who knows? But under the law, unless you are proactive and take steps, it will be reassessed. So simple example, you bought a piece of property decades ago at Tahoe. You pay $200,000 and property taxes are $100,000. You're paying maybe property taxes of $8,000, $10,000 a year. That property is now worth $3 million. That property is going to be reassessed and property taxes are going to go to like $33,000 a year. I mean, it's a massive increase. It makes it untenable for family members to retain ownership for rental properties, for vacation homes. So it is a massive problem. And you have to just understand that it's waiting in the wings to assault virtually every family that owns property. Sorry. And then the residents, that's the second treatment. Different slightly. There's been some misinformation to the effect that if your child makes your residence her residence, that there'll be no property tax increase. And that is true only if the property is of relatively low value. The law is that if your child makes your residence her residence, the first $1 million in assessed value is forgiven, but only 1 million. So let's go to my example in Tahoe, and let's say that that's the family home. So now we're at $3 million. If the child makes your residence her residence, moves into that house at Tahoe and takes all the appropriate steps, and there are many steps that have to be taken, the first 1 million is forgiven. So if it's worth 3 million, the new assessed value would be 2 million, and property taxes would more than double. They'd still go to about $22,000 a year. Again, untenable for so many people, which explains, by the way, why the vast bulk of the money that supported the passage of Prop 19 came from the Realtors Association, because this stimulates folks who feel they have no choice to sell property that they otherwise wanted to retain.
One quick note, it actually was increased a little bit above 1 million. They adjusted it with inflation. It's like 1.01 million you can protect now, but that's an aside. For most of you, that's not going to make a big difference.
I got to say, I mean, there's so many nuances here. We're dealing with round numbers, just to keep it understandable as we possibly can. And, Mark laid out a couple of maxims like, hope is not a plan. Another one here, by the way, is don't be logical. Don't just think that logic is going to take you anywhere. You have to look at what the law is, logical or illogical, deal with it directly, and identify the options that can help you address it. So let's be really clear that there are solutions. So the point that Mark started to make and that I emphasize is we can take steps. We can implement a plan to lock in and retain the current low level of property taxes by being proactive. Now, think about this. If your property taxes are now $5,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 a year, and because of the value of your real property, they'd go up to $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. The savings, if we can lock in those low property taxes, are massive over time, millions of dollars in so many circumstances.
Well, and it can be the difference between letting your child stay in the community and not. We have many clients who, their house is worth a lot, but their daughter is a school teacher. And there is no way in this planet where their children, unless they're tech executives, can afford these types of massive increases in property taxes. And we've been able to save houses for many families. Let's just give an example of this, because I think this is just as big an issue as state tax issue for many families in California. This is the tax issue that we're worried about. And here's just an example. Let's say that you have a home worth $3.3 million, and in many parts of California, that's not even that big a house. You have an assessed value of $300,000, and you're currently paying $3,300 per year in taxes. Without preventing a tax increase, your children could face a 1-year increase of over $33,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's over $360,000 in extra taxes. Over 30 years, that's almost $1.34 million in extra property taxes they would have to pay. But the good thing is when you pay more property taxes, you get much better government services, right? Like the cops come to your house faster, you get better No, you get nothing. You get literally no better services. You can look at taxes in whatever philosophical way you want, but it's basically money that just goes out the door. I think the key point here is whether it's your primary residence or not, you could face a massive increase, and we can fix this. So we've worked with hundreds of families in California to save their homes and to save their properties, to keep them in the family. And I talked about that rent control measure. Like imagine a future where Prop 33 is approved and a city imposes rent control. So your kids maybe want to rent the house out, maybe they want to move in later. They can't increase rents by over 2 or 3% a year, but their property taxes go up by 3,000%. I mean, where do you go there? So we're really worried about the impact that might have on many middle-class families who just want to hold on to their houses. We can help. We have the Gilfix and the Pole Dynasty LLC process. I think we are the best in the state at doing this. Our approach can optimize, and this is really key, for both property taxes and capital gains taxes. We've helped hundreds of families, and I think the key thing is if you're worried about this, set a meeting with us. We can very efficiently go through your situation and talk about solutions. We've had many people contact us from our YouTube videos throughout the state. And many said, I talked to 15 different attorneys. 3 said they could sort of help, but they all are all over the place. They don't know how to solve for both these issues, property taxes, capital gains taxes. We can solve for both. Every situation is different, though. There's no one size fits all solution. It can take like a year to do this. It takes time. So we have to plan ahead. So if you're worried about property taxes, talk to us. Don't wait. This relates directly to all of this.
And let me add that in other videos that we've done, we lay out our many reasons why we believe that Prop 19 is not going away. Initiatives to get enough signatures to put it on the ballot, they've been unsuccessful. There are many forces at work that will want to maintain and grow the impact of Prop 19. So it's not going. Remember, hope is not a plan. Hoping it'll go away is definitely not a plan.
Control what you can control. Let's not wait for these deadlines to come up. Contact us at gilfix.com, 650-493-807. Share this if it's your parents, your grandparents who need to see this, because you're the one who's going to get hit by these taxes, because really a lot of these are taxed when someone passes away. I hope you got a lot out of this. And regardless, hope everybody out there is, as my mom likes to say, safe, sane, and healthy. Stay healthy, everybody. And thank you so much for spending some of your time with us.